Good afternoon, dear participants, speakers. It was very interesting listening to you. It's very diverse. Uh, it's very diverse experience. We feel a lot of love and positive energy. We would like to invite you now to the process where we could understand how we could move in the direction of STEM education development. This part of the session will consist of two parts. The first part is a short, brief survey, and we can see in real time the opinion, and we see that our speakers are also still here. And I would like to ask you to join, and I would like to invite all of you to take part. We have about 350 people, and let's try in what directions we are moving. And our second part is we will give you a little bit of time. We'll ask you three important questions. You will have time to ask to submit your answers, and I would like to share you with my screen, and I ask Ruslan to send you the link. You will now need to visit the link. All you need to do is simply open the link, and you will see the questions. And these questions, I will demonstrate them, and we will see them in real life. We'll see the answers in real life. It is loading, so I see already. So the first question is, from what age should we start teaching STEM education in Kazakhstan? First answer is kindergarten, second question is elementary school, third question is middle school, and then the senior school, and then the university. We see that the majority of people, the kindergarten is leading, and then the elementary school. See that in our chat box, I would like to ask people to visit this link. You may access this link from your phones. You don't need to use your computers. You just need to press. You may just jump between the applications. Don't be afraid that you will disconnect from our Zoom call. You may visit the link. I see that already 90 people have responded. I see that we keep receiving the answers. We see that it's quite interesting because it's important what we understand by STEM educations and which actors we will involve in our national STEM education model. And as always, I see that already 100 people have responded. And let's move to the next questions because we are limited in time. So we will go to the next questions together. Now let's go to the next questions. What are the benefits of developing STEM education in Kazakhstan? Answer number one is moving to innovation model. The second is forming the class of active entrepreneurs, creative and qualified specialists and people. And I see, and also there is an answer which is competitiveness of country, developing non-raw materials economy. And I see that the majority of participants are the advocates of STEM education. Oksana, thank you very much for your questions. I think my colleagues will give you the answer. So for us, it's important that we have this active and creative. It's very interesting. So we see that the majority of our participants think that forming of the group of active and entrepreneurs. So exactly 100 people take part in our survey. Let's move to the second, to the next question. Next question is, you can choose two options. So here's the question. What is the main obstacle in implementing STEM education in Kazakhstan? So the answer one is lack of qualifications of teachers, lack of the necessary research base. For example, we know that there are some difficulties in rural schools in terms of developing robotics. And let me remind you that there is an opportunity to choose the opportunity for you to choose two answers. We give you the option of choosing more than one answer because we realize that there could be more than one obstacle. So you may want to choose more than one obstacle. And I would like to invite Natalia and Sirik back to join us. And I would like to remind you that the results of this survey, the organizers will share this file with you. So if you can participate, that would be great. I see that we have a little bit less participants, respondents. We have not left, so these risks and consequences could take place. And I see that there is an active discussion in the chat box, and there is a request, there is a wish that the gap could be narrower. And Ajan says that all the robotics winners they want to leave, they want to go abroad. So we should think about potential risk. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next question. We have 3 more questions left. The next question is: should the local context be considered in adopting STEAM education in Kazakhstan? Just 2 answers: yes or no. We have the representatives of Finland, Italy, and Thailand. If you have seen the report of Caravan Knowledge team, there was a case about Israel. They include the patriotic education as part of the STEAM education. Now I see that the 95% think that yes, it should be considered. All, or maybe you can clarify your comment, Oksana, because it's not very clear. We should take this into account. Thank you very much, Igor. Yes, we see that the majority have already voted. Thank you very much. 96% voted for yes. We believe that it is important. We need to understand what's the peculiarity of the system. Let's move to the next, so last 2 votes. The next question is: what from below you consider to be the most important to be considered when implementing STEAM, particularly in Kazakhstan? The answers include cooperation with universities, gender education, cultural context, patriotic education, love for the country, STEAM development in rural areas. So in our Kazakh context, in local context, many people think that the rural areas should be developing STEAM in rural areas should be considered. The rural cooperation with employers should also be taken into account. Thank you very much. For rural children, unfortunately, they do not know their own culture. We see that the 95 people have voted. We see. Thank you very much for your answers. Let's move to the last question. And I don't know if many of you have been able to see the analytical report of Caravan Knowledge, which included four approaches. They are not very different, but there are some difference. So let's see what approach would you prefer. The approach 1 is extending the learning experience in specific STEAM disciplines using the problem-oriented teaching. The approach 2 is integrate STEAM discipline knowledge so that to create deeper understanding and content. Approach 3 is multidisciplinary approach that uses integration in STEAM education as it is done in real life situations. And approach 4 is is a is application of innovation is innovation application in teaching methods for each of the STEAM disciplines uh, and integrated approach to education. We see that the opinions differ, and at the moment, approach number two is leading. The next is approach number four, and then approach number three is currently third. I will then finish my live stream. Once again, I would like to remind you that the results, the outcomes of the survey, they will be shared with you by the. And also, I wanted to invite you to the process where we could think deeper how we could develop a STEM education in Kazakhstan. I would like to ask a colleague, my colleague Ruslan, literally within the next 5 or 7 minutes, we will give you some time so that you have time to think about three issues. First is what qualitative and quantitative methods could be used that STEM education is implemented successfully. Question number two is how the international experience that has been presented today could be applied in Kazakhstan, taking into account the local context. And number three is what risk we could face in implementing in applying STEAM approach. So let's give it 5 or 7 minutes, and if it's possible, I would like to ask Ruslan. You have 5 or 7 minutes to write your comments, to write your feedback. I wanted to tell you we had very interesting sessions. We talked about how to develop the STEM education approaches in the long term. We listened to the different approaches. For example, my takeaway is that the involvement of teachers is very important. It's critical that it's important to have fun. So we should have the atmosphere of fun, of joy. I see from the comments that the same approach in Kazakhstan should develop. The speakers are very motivational, and the depth of involvement is also important by deeply involvement of our students, we could achieve some good results. And also the role of the teacher is not just to teach, but to be designer, to design the education process. And as you remember, when we did the survey, we had interesting opinion that it's important to take into account local context. It's important to know how to develop a STEM education in rural areas, start from very early ages, from the kindergarten. And I would highlight just a number of comments. Unfortunately, we don't have time to read them all. We could also take into account scientific research, implementing certain skills in real life, and the international experience is important. But of course, we should not forget our own experience, our Soviet experience, our local experience. Of course, there are many risks associated with the material base, with infrastructure, with access to materials, with the teacher professional development. And of course, what I would like to highlight, and it's the idea that was repeated, that it takes a lot of time, it's a lengthy process, and it's a lengthy process at the systemic level, at the level of teachers, because a lot needs to be understood and thought over and reloaded, and at the mental level, at our acceptance level, at our cultural level, how this could all be implemented. It takes a lot of time.